Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the Monday, May 13th council meeting in order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then observe a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Sabosley, would you do a roll call, please?
Roll call. Mr. Dern.
Here.
Mr. Seitz.
Here.
Mr. Schlock.
Here.
Mr. Purcell.
Here.
Ms. Rossler.
Here.
Mr. Majernik.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of April 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of April 2024.
Make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
I have a second from Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 8th, 2024 council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the community.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two this evening. In May here, coming up is the 50th anniversary of the National EMS Week. And therefore, I've got a letter of a proclamation regarding Plum EMS. This year marks the 50th anniversary of National EMS Week, and whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden injury or illness. And whereas the emergency medical service system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or voluntary, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor, do hereby designate the week of May 19th to the 25th, 2024 as National EMS Week in Plum Boro by officially recognizing and appreciating the emergency medical service providers who serve our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Plum Boro to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2024. Brian? Here you go, sir. Thank you. And I have one more. And this is proclamation declaring Public Works Week 2024. Whereas some of Plum Boro's unsung heroes work in our Public Works Department day in and day out, these men and women make sure that some of our borough's most urgent needs are met. And whereas public works service providers in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed public is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs, including streets, public buildings, code enforcement, and engineering, to provide these essential services to the citizens of Plum Boro. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff Plum's Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore, I, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor of Plum Boro, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19 to 25th, 2024 as Public Works Week in Plum Boro, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works services and to recognize the contributions which public works employees make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. I have set my hand and caused the seal of Plum Boro to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2024. And sir, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. That brings us to civic announcements. Any civic announcements?
Good evening. I'm Pam from the Plum Library. I just want to let you all know that our summer reading program begins on Monday, June 3rd at the library. We have a very exciting theme this year. Adventure begins at your library. We'll have events, activities, story time, STEAM activity, family events, and crafts, anything you can imagine. We're doing it this summer. All ages will receive an activity chart to complete for a treat at the end of the program. And our summer reading kickoff party is actually on Tuesday, June 4th. We have a musician performing, Guest House Annie. Will begin at 6:30. She's a great country musician from what I've heard. We'll also have a food truck, Wings, Pizza, Fries, where people can purchase foods. And we'll have crafts and activities for the kids that night. So that's Tuesday, June 4th at 6:30. Invite all of you to come to the library. Anyone who's listening, please stop by throughout the summer. We're excited to see everyone this summer. Thank you.
Karen Hochberg from the Plum Senior Center. Do I have to turn this on? Oh, I guess I do, sorry. Okay, Karen Hochberg from the Plum Senior Center. I have a bunch of announcements tonight. I put a packet in front of your places because we have a lot happening. May is Older Americans Month, the celebration, and we have an open house coming up on May 21st from 10 to 2. There will be a barbecue. People will be able to come into the center and sample fitness classes, craft classes, things will be going on. So we'd love to see some of the council come as well. The other thing that I want to talk about is Tuesday, June 25th is the distribution day for the farmers market certificates. That's always a popular day. Right now online, at our center, plumcommunitycenter.com. You can find links to all of this information. Important announcements about the farmers market voucher distribution. If you can download your proxy forms. You can learn about income eligibility online. And we will be, the Plum Rotary and the Borough invited us to come to the farmers market, so we'll be there the first couple of Mondays in June to give out more information. But people can mark their calendars now for June 25th at 10 to 3. We'll be giving out the vouchers. The next thing, the county Department of Aging is reimagining or having us go through a project to reimagine senior centers. So all the senior center directors are participating in this program that they're labeling SCRIMP. I don't know exactly what it's all of us getting together to think about what we want these centers to look like in the coming years and how they're going to be funded. In fact, the funding models are changing. Plum is one of the 40 focal point senior centers across Allegheny County. Anybody in the county can visit us at any time, and we get funding based on our attendance. We're one of 3 centers that is not going to lose funding this year because of the participation and all the cool stuff we have going on. So in line with that, we are starting something new called the Betwixt and Betweeners. One of the challenges that all senior centers have across the country is attracting younger seniors, 50 to 65. But many people who are 75 think they're younger seniors because the way we age is changing in America. We're retiring later. So getting people in the door, we're going to have some evening programs that we're launching for this newer audience that we hope will get people to come to the center, try it out, and think about how they'll participate with us either as a volunteer or they'll age into when they want to attend more of our programs. So the first one of our Betwixt and Betweeners classes is we're going to do a mastering your cell phone. We're going to teach cell phone photography this Thursday. There will always be food with these. The one that we're doing in June, no assembly required, is providing entertainment for us. We're going to provide the food for a $10 cover charge. We're going to have a nacho taco bar, and there will be music on the patio. That will be Friday, June 28th. And then the last one that we'll be doing in the summer is we're going to do a trivia night with prizes. We're going to give out prizes, and that's going to be August 7th. And so Michelle McCloskey, who leads trivia at John Anthony's, will come up to the center, and there's a $100 first prize. So we encourage folks to, form a team. You can register online. So we're going to give this a try and see if we can, with evening programs, get some of the younger seniors in the building at night. So we will report back to you on that. The other thing that I would like to talk about is Plum. Now we deliver for the county, in addition to Meals on Wheels, we're involved with a program called Hello Baby. I don't know if you know this, but Allegheny County has one of the highest infant and maternal mortalities in America. So our Department of Human Services has started a program called Hello Baby. When vulnerable moms have the baby, they get family meals for 6 to 12 weeks. And so we're delivering those meals. And as a result of that, one of the young women had nothing. And so I want to thank the Plum Rotary and the citizens of Plum. We posted this on Facebook and had tickets that people could pick up at the senior center. And Mayor, the generosity of the community. The tickets went very quickly. The Rotary, through its connections, was able to help us get an appointment for this young woman at the Blessing Board, and it's made a huge difference for her. So I want to thank the citizens of Plum for being so generous with us on the Hello Baby. That's it. Thank you for your time tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements? Okay, President's comments. Just one real quick thing. I'd like to thank all the first responders for coming tonight for the appreciation. I want to thank Mr. Sabosley and the Borough crew for putting together a really touching presentation, and also the Plum High School Chamber Chorus and the JROTC for showing up tonight to present the flag. That was truly special. So we're going to move on to council actions. And first up is, I believe, Mr. Majernik.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 988-24, approving the Midas Lot Line Consolidation Plan, FSC-02-24, as recommended by the Borough Engineer.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to accept the GMA Lot Consolidation Plan, FSC-03-24, as complete.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to submit an application to the Department of Community and Economic Development requesting technical assistance on public-private partnerships.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to support a letter from the Turtle Creek Valley COG to President Biden urging reinvestment in the U.S. Steel Mon Valley Works facility.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. That's it, Mr. Majernik?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Seitz.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to approve a job description for the position of in-house engineer.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second from Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to make an offer of employment to Jim Sims for the position of Building Inspector / Code Enforcement Officer 1.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to make an offer of employment to Colton Duke for the position of Building Code Official.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to accept the resignation of Lisa Lagnese as Real Estate Tax Collector effective June 30th, 2024.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And lastly, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to appoint Emily DeLuce to fill the unexpired term as tax collector effective July 1st, 2024.
A motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
You got a second?
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Seitz, thank you. Ms. Rossler.
Thank you. On behalf of the Public Safety Committee, I move to authorize the advertisement of first and second line police supervisor testing.
I have a motion on the floor by Ms. Rossler. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rossler. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 985-24, supporting the submission of a Greenways Trails grant.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
You got a second?
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Schlock.
Thanks, Mr. President. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to waive real estate tax penalty, interest, and lien fees for 409 Presque Isle Drive in the amount of $132.86 for a 2021 interim tax bill.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Is there a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to waive real estate tax penalty, interest, and fees for 9824 Salzburg Road for tax year 2001 in the amount of $111.14.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to enter into a 5-year lease agreement with Precision Copy Products for copy and printing solutions.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion?
One quick question. I know we talked about that. What was the savings that we would have approximately over that 5-year term? $12,000.
Say again? the savings over the term of the contract.
12,000.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. That's it, Mr. Slug?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Purcell?
On behalf of the Roads, Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to award the Avers Creek Culvert Project to W.A. Petrakis as follows. Contract A, base bid in the amount of $532,359. Contract B, stream mitigation in the amount of $111,805. Contract C, water line replacement in the amount of $293,645. Contract C is contingent upon the PBMA providing a letter promising to reimburse the borough for the entire amount of the contract.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any questions or comments, discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Roads and Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 986-24, requesting funding in the amount of $117,077 through the Watershed Restoration Program.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Roads Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 987-24, requesting funding in the amount of $500,000 and to designate the borough manager as the person to execute and sign all the documents through the flood mitigation program.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. And that moves us to Mr. Mayor. Your report, please.
Thank you. During the month of April, our officers responded to 1,104 calls for service, and that's a 20% increase over the previous month. And it's that time of year again where we're putting out the ATS radar speeds display sign. And the first one was applied at 1900 Old Leechburg Road from March 28th through April 14th. A total of 8,400 vehicles were timed over a 17-day period. The average speed was 35.5 miles per hour. The highest speed by this some dummy was 79 miles per hour. The average, the ATS radar speed display sign was deployed at 4151 Logan Ferry Road from April 1st through April 27th and collected the following information. A total of 23,687 vehicles were timed over a 27-day period. It's a 25-mile-an-hour posted limit, and some idiot had to do 69 miles per hour. And another one was deployed at 340 Old Leechburg Road from April 15th through April 28th. 15,802 vehicles were timed over a 13-day period. And bear in mind, that's one direction only. The speed limit is 40 miles per hour. And a dummy decided to do 80 miles per hour. Unbelievable. And now I come to thoughtful citizens. Now, I have been saying for over 5 years that people bring our police officers homemade cinnamon rolls, cookies, Oakmont cakes, and they never invite me down. And I have threatened for 5 years that I was going to get a scale and put it down in the police office. With Mr. Dern's help, we found one.
Don't throw me in this thing, man.
Tomorrow, that will be downstairs in the police department. Now, the thoughtful citizens, on April 3rd, Pat and Stan Kazmarski deliver snacks to our department in appreciation for the service our officers provide to Plum Boro. On April 5th, Michael Cerniglia delivered donuts in a cookie tray from Oakmont Bakery to show his appreciation to our officers for keeping our community safe. And on April 6th, Brian Hoop delivered food to the department for our officers in appreciation for the services they provide to the community. On April 10th, Joseph Maselli of Holiday Park personally thanked me, and that's the chief speaking, for the job our officers do every day. Mr. Maselli's grandfather was a police officer with Oakmont Police Department for 34 years. 10 of those years were as chief. Mr. Maselli provided him with 3 paperback books dedicated to his grandfather and his experience during his law enforcement career. And on April 12th, Michael Cerniglia again delivered donuts from Oakmont Bakery for a second time this month to show his appreciation to our officers for keeping our community safe. And notice, not one time did I get a phone call about coming down and sharing with them. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. And that brings us to the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee. We have a meeting tomorrow night at 5, up at the high school with them before their meeting. So we have a few things, we have an agenda, what we're gonna discuss. Mr. Seitz, Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. So new police officer Jason Saunders started on April 8th. The most recent police new hire, Christina Sargent, has a tentative start date of July 8th. Effective April 9th, Sam Prokopic was promoted to Director of Community Development, and Bill Binney was promoted to Director of Public Works. Interviews were conducted for a code enforcement officer and a building code official, and decisions were made and approved by council tonight on those positions. The job posting for in-house engineer has been made public, and the Human Resources Department is working to get the job listing as much exposure as possible. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Seitz. Mr. Schlock.
The borough recognized revenues totaling $654,455 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $1,442,024. To date, the borough has received $1.37 million under current year earned income tax revenues, and this represents 31% of the adopted budget. Through the month of April, the borough has expended 29% of the budget, or $4.59 million. The borough's semi-annual bond debt totals $1,086,282 and is due by June 1st. The borough has been notified that the first draft of the audit report should be received during May. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Schlock. Mr. Purcell.
Thank you, Mr. President. From roads, equipment, and grounds, the Renton Ball Field infield has been regraded to correct the footage according to the USA official rules of softball. Additional field work was completed, which included base length adjustments, foul pole relocation, and the addition of 44 tons of infield mix. Grading at the new Renton dump site has begun. This location will provide an additional dumping space for the Public Works Department since the Larry Mills Park area is near capacity. Road work was completed on Havana Drive, Mardi Gras Drive, Elwood Avenue, Old Leechburg Road, Unity Center Road, and Miller's Lane. And while I'm there, I believe our road department has been doing some work on Harris and Ross Hollow Road, and they've done an excellent job in making some repairs down there. The joint water line project with PBMA for Mike Thomas Way is in process. The borough has completed the necessary work, and the subcontractor for PBMA needs to bore under the road to make the connection to the existing water line on Ross Hollow Road. And finally, residents who are in need of compost for summer projects are invited to take as much as needed from behind the old borough building on New Texas Road. Help yourself. That is the end of my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. Ms. Rossler?
Thank you, but I don't have a report per se, but I do have our 4 dedicated fire chiefs here tonight, so if we could start off with Renton Fire Department, if you'd like to come up and speak to the community.
Hi, Chief Kerry Cole, Renton Fire Department. Just a couple quick announcements. At our monthly meeting this past week, we are voting to suspend our QRS service for a 6-month period to enact some recruitment activities to bolster our membership. We're currently at an 87% scratch rate, which isn't really acceptable to me. So we're going to hold some activities and open houses to recruit some new members and see if we can build more membership. Our first event will be August 3rd, or August 4th. We'll have an open house down at our station. We are currently working on a fundraising activity with Plum Hockey Association, so details of that will be coming out. We are also currently working to build a new squad with a ultra high pressure skid unit. So this unit will be used in case we do not have an engine driver. We can still get equipment to the scene and supply water to put out car fires, brush fires, and it can be used in structure fires. Status quo at that time, and just keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Kerry.
Mr. Mudar, Chief Mudar, there you are. Chief Mudar is from Unity.
Good evening, Council. For the month of April, Unity was activated for a total of 66 calls. That turns out as 26 QRS-related calls, with the remaining being fire-related. Top responders for the month all responded to more than 25 incidents apiece, 28, 22, 30, 35. So we're seeing an uptick in response from people, and it shows, and it's going a long way. So happy to see that. Have a bunch of members currently in training. We graduated a total of 4 this year from an EMR class. We have another 5 in fire department related training, with certifications by the end of the year totaling 12 at this time. So big push on training at this time, and dedicated members, so we appreciate that. Grant-wise, happy to note that we received a $5,000 grant from CSX to help replace boots and helmets that are aging in the department. Also working with the federal government through FEMA to get a vehicle exhaust system installed. They picked up 90% of that bill, with us retaining 10%. So that should be in place by the end of summer, and that about sums it up. Other than, if you remember, towards the beginning of the year, we had some difficulties and breakdowns with our rescue truck. Significant repair costs that we tried working through. A very generous and gracious donor from the community stepped up and actually covered that bill. So tonight in front of you, I would like to thank Pat McAfee and his organization for carrying the bill to get all of the repairs on the rescue complete. That truck is still at Glick getting repaired, but we're hoping to get it back before the end of summer. Thank you.
Chief Marsh from Logan's Ferry.
Good evening, council. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. A couple fundraising things we have going on here at Logan's Ferry. Our gun bash is going to be coming up on June 1st, so that's quickly approaching. That's, other than Fish Eyes, probably our single-handed largest fundraising opportunity that we have. We're coming towards the end of ticket sales. Hopefully they'll all be gone here pretty soon, but if anyone from the community is looking, there's still a handful of tickets left. Next thing I would like to point out is the Maines family golf outing. Was contacted by a family member of the Maines that I graduated Plum High School with. The reason why I'm throwing a little spotlight on them, the family has decided to donate the proceeds to be split between all the Plum fire departments this year. So that's a huge thing for us because for the departments in this room, it's probably the first time we don't have to help fundraising, so it's a little bit of relief from us. So I was asked to bring that up. That's going to be at Rolling Fields on August 10th. They said to refer to their Facebook posts for information on that. Next thing I would like to, we had a very great use of the old municipal building, so I'd like to thank Plum Council for that, for the municipal-wide training. That was done I guess last week. Super great opportunity to finally have a building that we could actually kind of beat up a little bit. No damage on our side, so that was nice. And one huge thank you to Bill Benny, Director of Public Works, and Mr. Sabosley for helping me get some vehicles moved around at our fire station for training. Public Works was able to come over with a piece of equipment for about 5 minutes and flip a couple cars for us. It's kind of the unsung heroes of Plum, Public Works, so I did want to recognize them here. So that's all I have.
Did you guys finish up the training down there at the Borough Building?
Let Jim talk on that, but we're still using that. Some of the departments still have some access, but as far as municipal-wide days, I think we're going to maybe try to get one more in, but nothing scheduled. A lot of happenings are going on right now. So.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Jim Sims, Chief Sims from Holiday Park.
Good evening. I am Jim Sims, the Chief of the Department for Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department. To talk about training for a minute, I have sent Dave Sabosley some photographs that were taken. If we can bring those up, Dave. They're in order, so. One of the first things we did was we did the firefighters, well, I should go back. We met on April 30th, and then again on Saturday morning, May 4th. And we ran 4 different evolutions on both days. So it was a total of 8 evolutions that we did on those 2 days. And all 4 fire departments participated. And the guys who came back Saturday morning weren't very happy because they had brush burns on their knees, and we worked them pretty hard on Tuesday night. This picture here is one of our firefighters. We were taught how to force doors. So there's plenty of doors we could go in the building and lock. And they had to learn the proper tools on using the Halligan and the flathead axe to make access into the door. Good. This is just a review. We were fortunate to have friends who are state fire instructors who were present at the time that could teach. So it just wasn't more us going in and beating things up. They were actually taught a class. They were actually taught hands-on. They were taught the proper way to, in this situation, force the door. Dave? This is hard to see. That's small. I'm sorry. This is the afterwards. So what that is, we created a hoarder hallway. People remember the hallway going down into where the steps go up to back into the old council chambers. We filled that hallway full of file cabinets, desks, chairs. We pulled some ceiling down, and you could barely make it up, but the crews had to advance a charged hose line down through, dig their way through, and make themselves into the council chambers. Had to get all the way into the council chambers. So these are the type of things that Chief Marsh talked about. We can't do that in our fire stations. We can't really do this. We had actually hands-on. Several of the crews made it in. Several of the crews, by the time they got through the pile of debris and got to the steps, air bottles started ringing. We started working. We work in pairs of 2, so when one person's bell rang, They had to retreat. So they worked hard to get down through the Hoarder hallway. This is, we use the council chambers to practice large-scale searches. So there's no lights in there. We had 2 smoke machines running, and we put groups of 4. They went in there, and we hit a couple victims, large panda bears, stuffed panda bears. So they went in there. They had to go through, keep in contact, and search the entire council chambers. So as those of you know, there's still some desks in there, there's still some chairs in there, there's a lot of stuff in there. A couple of the groups found both panda bears, some found none, some found one. But what we also did too, as they're working the search, one of the safety people would come up and grab somebody from behind and pull them away from his group. So we emphasize working as a team. So all of a sudden, hey, where you at? Jim, where you at? Now they go backtrack and find his missing member. So this was good. This is them going into the council chambers. You see how much smoke, and this is 7 o'clock at night, so there's lights coming through the old doors. So that's how much smoke we had into that old paraffin smoke into the old council chambers. Good. This was a review outside after going through the council chambers. The gentleman in the black helmet is a state fire instructor. He was critiquing how they proceeded through and how they could improve themselves. This is you're just poking holes in the wall. This is actually a self-rescue technique. So firefighters are taught if they get themselves trapped into a room, they can actually breach a wall and get through the wall and crawl into the next room for safety. So the gentlemen who were there, they would poke a hole, get down on their knees, start poking through a hole through the wall. Obviously, you're dealing with power lines through there. Fortunately, there's no power in the building. Phone lines through there. They would poke a hole in the wall. Go ahead, Dave. And then they would go through with an air pack on through a 16-inch on center stud. They made it through. Everybody, a couple of the larger guys released their air packs. They pushed their air pack through, keeping their mask on, and then they crawled through the hole. So everybody who participated on Tuesday night when we did this evolution, everybody who participated made it through a wall. There's that one wall that was in the one room that was the addition was added, was bookcases on the back side of it and whatever. Well, they were surprised. They thought they were just going to go through some drywall. Next thing they found plywood and bookshelves they had to break through to get themselves through. But they did. They succeeded. And this is one of the last evolutions. This is down the old police station hallway. If you come in the back door, working down to a reception, the chief's of police office was. They came in the side door. We had smoke. They worked their way down to the door, back to where the cells were, came back out, they came back down, and then they advanced the hose line down that particular hallway. So you know there's 1, 2, 3, 4 offices, so they had to stop, go in and do a search, come back out, move down, go to the next room, go and do a search, come back out, and then take the line back out. We also had a victim hidden there, and we hid him behind a door. A couple people missed it, but it was a learning experience. That's what they were there for. But the doors we had going down the hall were locked, so they had to go down the hall. They had to force a door to get in to search the room. So it was a great learning experience. So that was our training exercise. Some of the photographs from it. Everybody worked hard. Everybody participated. We invited Oakmont the one night because Oakmont runs a lot of mutual aid on the 909 corridor. So we worked hand in hand with that fire department. They sent some individuals, so it was a very good evening of training. Dave? And this guy. I show you the response, the dedication of the services of the Plum Boro Fire Service. This is the after night briefing where we talked about what we did, what lessons learned, lessons how we can improve, and that was our hot wash session where we talked about everything that was accomplished on that first Tuesday night we were there. As far as additional training, Unity has asked, and since I still have the key, we're going to let them in the building next Monday night before they have some individual training plan. And as I mentioned in my original email, my fire department, along with the Unity Fire Department, we were successful, thanks from the efforts of Chief Mudar. We received a federal grant. We received all new breathing apparatus. So we're going to go in and do some hands-on training with our new breathing apparatus, more than just putting it on the garage and say, yeah, we know how to use it. So that brings me up to Ms. Ross, I received a message that Councilwoman Rosser asked that the fire chiefs would come and speak this evening. And everybody knows me. I've come here over the years, and I've talked about the Holiday Park Fire Department, and I've talked about, we've had this fundraiser and this many calls and whatever, and I really thought about what I want to say tonight, what point I wanted to convey this evening to the council. And I decided I'm going to emphasize the we rather than the I. The we being the Plum Boro Emergency Services, and not the I, the Holiday Park Fire Department. You know, emergency services, and it has to be a group. We have to work together. We have to collaborate together and work as a group, being the police, the fire, and EMS. And yes, we each have our own roles. And yes, we have each our responsibilities that we have to do. But we have to learn to work with these and do it in harmony so that when incidents such as August 12th, 2023 happens, we worked as a unit, we work as a group, and we have a successful and safe operation. And I believe we did that on August 12th, 2023. And I applaud the we on that day that responded that day, the police, the fire, the EMS who worked hand in hand that day. It was a coordinated effort. And on August 12th, 2023, there was no I that day. It was all we. It was all we that day. And also we being the community. You know, many years ago, in law enforcement training, I had an instructor talk to me and talked about customer service. Customer service. And the emergency services is completely different than any other business out there. And the reason why I say that to you is this. If I want to put a new roof on my house, I can call around, get bids. I can talk to my neighbors who did their roof. So if I want to put a driveway in, a kitchen in, I can do those things. But when I pick up the phone and I call 911, you pick up the phone and you call 911, you have no choice who's coming to help you that day. It is a responsibility of all the emergency responders that we are on our game, and we do the best that we do every single time we go out the door and we respond. And we respond as a group, and we respond as a we. You know, I can speak for the other members of the fire departments. We sincerely appreciate it this evening. We sincerely appreciate the gratitude that was extended to us this evening. But I think it's also crucial to understand that really no award can replace the sense of fulfillment, that sense you get right here as a volunteer firefighter, or as an EMT, or as a paramedic, or as a police officer, when you have saved a life, when you've protected property, when you were there on the person's worst day, on their darkest hour. We as public safety responders, we were there and we assisted and we helped. Not the Unity Fire Department, not Holiday Park. We as a group of emergency responders. So basically, our greatest reward is knowing that we made a positive difference in someone's life. And I can speak because I've worked in all fields in Plum Boro. I was a police officer for 24 years. I've worked as an EMT. I've fire department for almost 50 years. I know, and I can stand here before council and whoever's at home watching this, I know that when they call 911 and they need help, those representatives are coming from whatever organization. They're coming with excellence, and they're coming and we're all coming as a group to protect our citizens. Oh, there's still tickets left for Super Bingo, so that's this Saturday night.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
quick question.
Yes.
Have you had any of our bordering communities inquire about possibly them being allowed to use that building?
No, we have not. We have not. And, you know, we want to make sure we protect the building. You know, we're hoping to use it for fire camp, but we want to protect the building. We made sure that we didn't break any of the windows, so the building is structurally secure and we can lock the building up. Obviously, we didn't light any fires inside the building. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did a lot of damage, but it wasn't just hapless damage. It was damage that we needed to train,
Sure.
that they're trained to do. Like I said, as Chief Marsh said, he has some plans to maybe get back in there. We have hopefully get back for camp. Our fire camp is 17th to 21st of June. We have exceeded expectations. We have 40 cadets from 14 to 17 enrolled this year, 40. And we started out in 2018 with 12. So Like I said, that building's been is a great asset, and we hope to continue to use it as long as it's there. Thanks, Skip. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
And I have, thank you very much to all the fire chiefs. And I have Mr. Maloney here, EMS.
That's a tough act to follow. Holy cow. It's a lot of good organization and groups in this community, but Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. We actually had a slower month last month. I ran a total of 208 responses, transported 127 patients. We ended up responding to other communities 12 times. 7 of those resulted in a transport to the hospital. We ended up having mutual aid coming to Plum 17 times, and that's about 8% of all the EMS that was needed in the community. So a little higher than normal. Once again, keeping a close eye on that. Along with running emergency calls, we ended up doing 3 free car seats to families in need throughout the month. We participated in the Plum High School Career Day, representing the EMS. I had the opportunity to present at the Plum Chamber of Commerce monthly meeting, followed by CPR training, which we all had a good time with that. I also, for the 4th year in a row, did the EMS on the Hill Day, in which we're pushing legislative efforts to try to help appropriate funding for EMS. So that's always a good one. I had a chance to meet with some good officers with Casey Fetterman and even Summer Lee's office. We ended up hosting the new Bureau of EMS director at Plum EMS. I had a chance to meet him on Pennsylvania EMS Memorial Ride back in September, and I told him if you're ever in the area, stop by. And he did. And one of the things he was most impressed with was the support that we get from the community. There's not many communities throughout the Commonwealth that get what we have here at Plum. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. I know the community does as well, so thank you very much for that. And then lastly, we had 2 of our board of directors honored in what was known as the Legends of EMS. This is 12 people represented from Western Pennsylvania for their years of service in EMS and their contributions. So Tom Isidore and Bob Moran were both recognized in this. So they were 2 out of these 12 from Western Pennsylvania. Now these 2 have been with Plum EMS since 1991, the very first day that Plum EMS started. And between the 2 of them, they have almost 100 years of experience in EMS. So their recognitions were well deserved, and we're extremely proud of them being able to get that. So other than that, questions, comments, a little story to make me smile?
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thanks for being here tonight.
And just one more thing, because I do appreciate Mr. Maloney and everyone that stuck around to hear the end of the meeting and listen to the chiefs. But you know, they do, the fire chiefs and the fire departments do a wonderful job. But I will tell you that they could always use help. If you're looking to volunteer, if you're a business and you're looking to donate, if you're a medical professional and you're looking to volunteer again, they could use your help. So just feel free, if on my behalf I am telling you it's okay, stop in, introduce yourself, and see what you, if you're interested in, and talk to them, because they could really always use help.
Okay, Mr. Majernik.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Planning and Economic Development Report. The Community Development Department issued 105 permits in April. The Zoning Hearing Board met in April to discuss 2 submissions, one for an expansion of a non-conforming structure which was denied, and one for establishing an accessory parking structure into the front yard setback, which was approved. Staff submitted grant applications for watershed restoration and protection, greenway trails, and the flood mitigation program. Code enforcement completed 87 residential and apartment occupancy inspections and addressed 41 violations and complaints in April. Additionally, sign removal was conducted, street light inspection was conducted, and a code enforcement officer responded to 2 residential fire calls and 2 magisterial court hearings. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Majernik. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. 4 borough pavilions are available to rent starting April 1st through October 31st. Borough parks were routinely inspected for safety hazards and trash, along with regular mowing and grass maintenance. The annual Borough Cleanup Day was held on April 20th. There were over 200 volunteers who collected 230 bags of garbage, numerous tires, and other items. Public Works picked up all of the collected garbage and disposed of it accordingly. Plum Creek was stocked with 525 trout for the annual trout fishing event. On Saturday, April 27th, we had approximately 40 kids participate. The Borough Recycling Committee collected 590 pairs of solar eclipse glasses to donate to astronomers without border programs. The committee is currently collecting pop tabs for the Ronald McDonald House. The committee also kicked off the Crazy Crayon Recycling Program on May 1st. Residents can drop off used and broken crayons to the municipal center during normal business hours. And last but not least, Borough App's upcoming events include the Rain Barrel Workshop on Thursday, May 30th at 6 p.m. And the Summerfest this year will be June 20th and 22nd. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. That concludes our borough business and reports, and that moves us to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. And there are 2 people that signed up tonight. The first one is Amy Pachiri.
I give you credit, it's a doozy. It's Amy Bocherry. There's 2 things I wanted to talk about. I tried to send a group email, but I had no way to contact all of you. I have spoken with Mrs. Costanza about it, but I do feel like you all are one big group that you all should be aware. It's in regards to the banquet facility. I booked it for my daughter's graduation this year. I booked it on May 17th of 2023, and when I met with Mrs. Costanza, I was like, I'm looking at June 1st. She's like, heads up, first Saturday of the month, movie in the park. I was like, oh heck no. I don't want to like cross the streams here. Like, nope, we're gonna pick another day. Chose the following week. We were told that the fire pits would be ready for this upcoming year. It was our selling point. We're like, we'll do like the 10 to 10 time frame. We'll have the party. My daughter and her friends can sit at the fire pits while we clean up. It'll be great. I came here about a month ago just to check over the facilities again to see like setup and everything, and we saw the little magnet that said movie in the park, June 8th. Oh, by the way, the fire pits are not able to be rented either. My concerns are these. 1, how are we going to secure the facility for my event that I booked over a year ago? Because I don't want movie in the park coming in, destroying bathrooms or anything, and then that comes back on me. 2, parking, because it is the very first movie in the park, but also I paid to have the facility here. And now I'm going to be competing with the community for parking for movie in the park and then my event as well. Pretty much that was everything we tried to avoid with the movies in the park happened this year. And we were given no kind of forewarning about it. By that point, I had invitations made, deposit was made, everything was set, done, the whole 9 yards. I think you just maybe a little forewarning that when you say the first Saturday of every month is for the month, or for the summer is those, and people plan their activities. I think it needed to be a whole group kind of discussion, not just with Mona, because I did speak with her, but you guys as well, because you are collectively a group. Second thing, I'm really glad the EMS or the fire department is here. Back in February, I had to make a 911 call. We smelled gas in our home. My husband at the time was on active duty training. It was me at home with 5 girls. Within 5 minutes, Unity Fire Department was on my street, walking in my home. It was by far, and I've always known, they're the ones running in as everybody's running out. My guy, the rig wasn't fully in park yet, and he was out. I'm yelling from the sidewalk where my kitchen is in the back of the home, and he walked in there without hesitation, without worry, without anything. He walked in there, and I just remember sitting out there thinking, am I going to be mortified or justified? And when he came out, I asked him that, because I'm like, I wasted time. I wasted their time, I wasted resources, and I asked, am I justified or am I mortified? And his exact words to me were, "You were careful." And as a mom at home with 5 kids by myself, it meant the world to me that I wasn't embarrassed, I wasn't anything. So in front of everybody, Unity and Renton, who all showed up, thank you. I appreciate you getting there that fast, but also assuring me and my children who were huddled in the neighbor's house that they were safe and my home was safe to go back into. So in front of all of you, I wanted, and I'm glad they're here, because I've spoken with Mrs. Rossler about it. They did a phenomenal job, and I really think that they don't get the credit they do. So thank you very much.
So I'll try and answer.
Amy?
I'll just try and respond to some of your points. I'm not aware of everything that happened, but as far as your concerns about the bathrooms, we'll certainly make sure we have a rec person that is assigned to your party. Okay. And we'll make sure that person is here full-time, as the movie people start to come in. And in June, we have as much daylight as possible in June. So usually that movie is like 9:45 to 10. I look in the system, I see you're about 8 to 8, I think, listed for your party, whether that's right or not. But we will have a rec person here to make sure that, the people that come in to use the bathrooms are responsible. And if there's anything that happens with them, that certainly you're not charged with that. In a perfect world, this wouldn't happen. And, when Mona told me about it, I said, for 2025, let's make sure these are blocked off so they don't happen. So we do apologize, and there's a learning curve here. Certainly, you didn't, you're the person who is, behind this curve. We do apologize, but hopefully we can learn from this mistake.
Yeah, and I don't want it to all fall on Mona, because I really don't think it was, that's why I said all the needs to be aware. Because I spoke with Mona, she apologized, but then when we were thinking, I was like, what if they come in the bathroom? It was just kind of all of that.
We appreciate you coming in, and there's almost every week there's something that comes up, and we're like, wow, we wish we would have thought about that. Yours is a pretty easy one. There's some more complex things that have come up, but once again, we'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Do we lock that hallway there in the elevator?
Well, so normally when so for her rental upstairs, we have a little gate to keep people from going downstairs. But and I don't know what time your party goes to that night. But the door here will be open to have access to the bathrooms.
Fire pits?
No, they're not part of the rental yet. In fact, they're not operational yet. There's still electrical issues with that, and that's part of the building closeout that still has to be taken care of.
Okay, sorry, I have to go get a kid from dance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jen Martinez?
Is it on?
Yes.
My name's Jennifer Martinez, better known as Marky's mom. I'm gonna get through this without crying. I'm here tonight to award the first ever Junior Fire Scholarship Award to a very deserving young woman. The Mark Matesic Foundation was founded after my son tragically lost his life to suicide on March 24th, 2022. Through our grief as a family and our community, this foundation was formed to support the mental health of first responders in the eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh and to award 2 scholarships to students that exemplify Mark's love of community, country, love, and giving others in their time of need. From the time I can remember, Mark breathed, dreamed, and talked all things firefighting. We quickly learned where all the fire stations were around the area and visited them often as Mark grew up. Eventually, Mark decided to become a junior firefighter at Plum Unity Station when he was 14 years old. I can still remember having the initial meeting, just talked about that tonight, and telling the various board members that, and seeing Marky's face and knowing that his dreams were coming true. Over the next 2 years, Mark spent his life learning all he could about firefighting. He completed his first 2 mods and was on his way of becoming a fireman. But we all tragically will never witness that day because Mark lost his battle with mental health. They say that there's a silver lining in all things, and that silver lining for me was becoming a family with Mark stations, Unity and Pitcairn. Mark always spoke of the brotherhood, and I never understood that until that day. The support, love, and friendship that the fire community has shown my family is nothing less than amazing. So I want to say thank you to all the emergency responders for all you've done and continue to do within our communities. It is my honor to award the first Mark Matesic Firefighter Scholarship to Sarah Abbott. I can remember the first time I met Sarah. We were just talking about this. It was, of course, in the middle of COVID and all the fish fries were canceled, and we know how valuable those are for the fire departments. Well, they decided to have a food truck rally. Well, I think they must have picked the coldest day of the year because Mark calls me and asks me to bring some hot chocolate up to the station. And when I came up to grab some food, I get up there with 1 cup of hot chocolate because that's all he told me to do. And then I see him working with Sarah. I was so embarrassed that I did not have a hot chocolate for her because it was really cold out. I yelled at Mark for not being more of a gentleman and told him that if he ever was with somebody, that he could always ask me to bring something extra for them. Well, that was 3 years ago. And today, you're graduating soon and chasing your dreams. To watch you become this beautiful, intelligent, caring, and determined young woman has been my pleasure. I want you to take the love of firefighting community and show the world just truly how amazing this brotherhood is. I am truly blessed to have you be the first recipient of the Mark Matesic Memorial Foundation because you are a junior with him. Mark would also be graduating this year, but unfortunately he's not. Sarah will be attending Triangle Tech, where she'll be studying carpentry and construction. I wish you all the love and luck in the world of need. So I just want to, this is Mark's dad, Mike, and this is Tim Poth. He's one of the Unity members, but he's also one of the board members on my board. I have 2 firefighters, one from Unity, one from Big Care, and I have 2 mental health providers on my board, along with a teacher from Penn Hills who's a mom, one of the pallbearers moms of my son. It was his first friend in kindergarten. And I also have my nephew who was a Plum grad who's going into social work. So we just want to award this to you. Thank you for everything you do. Chase your dreams and take Marky with you. I love you.
That's all signed up. So we're going to have, looking for an adjournment.
To adjourn.
I have a motion from Mr. Slaughter to adjourn. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.